everybody. Welcome to Your Cup. Your host, Dubby Dubois. Today's Sunday, July 18th, 2021. Coming to you from beautiful Central Florida. And let's get to it. Real quickly, we have a mayoral election in New York City. The embattled Bill de Blasio's on his way out. His 2 terms are over. Everyone is happy. And everyone up there is ready to press a reset button. Of course, we know that so much has gone on in the city, a city that's been chill and calm for years, with high crime doubling, violent crimes doubling, and so what have you. The mayoral election has finally come down to 2 candidates. The Republican candidate, Curtis Silva, he is the Guardian Angel founder. If you guys know who the Guardian Angels is, even nationally, you've seen them in the old documentaries. Even now, they wear all the red. Curtis always wore the Kango hat. He's been through a lot of stuff. He's been in the mix. They're like a vigilante, an unarmed. They were an unarmed vigilante organization almost in the 80s. They started, I believe, maybe the 70s. I'm not too sure, but he's been in. I seen him I was doing current events when I was a little boy. He was in it. You know what I'm saying? So he's been around. He's going to be on the Republican ticket. And then Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, former NYPD officer, and a Democratic, conservative liberal. I don't even know what that means. Not liberal, it's conservative liberal. Conservative Democrat, rather. There we go. So, he's got a lot of support. People just grabbing de Blasio's going. But with that said, whoever wins, they have a lot of work to do. The city is going crazy. Gang violence all time is at a high, So, let's go. Let's talk.
Police certainly.
These candidates have a plan, and we're going to talk about their plan. Let's talk about what happened last night and past weekend. Let's go.
Have their hands full tonight searching for 6 gunmen involved in weekend shootings, but they do believe they've made progress in trying to solve a fatal shooting from last weekend. 2 juveniles with gang connections are being held in the Bronx tonight. High-ranking police sources tell Pix 11 they're being questioned over last Sunday's scooter shooter murder. 16-year-old Raymond Gil Medrano was shot and killed in the back of a livery cab by suspects on scooters. The sources say Gil Medrano, who has ties to the Bloods, was likely killed in retaliation for the fatal shooting earlier Sunday of a 13-year-old reputed crew leader with the Crips. Meanwhile, the weekend bringing
13-year-old reputed crew leader. This is the media, so you can't believe everything you hear. But whatever they say, it has some kind of sauce to it. But it's probably not. You think it's garlic, it's Parmesan. You know what I'm saying? But it's something in there. 13 years old, he led a set. Shit, was it Tiny Toons? But anyway, let's continue. We'll talk. I'll give more commentary after the video. I'll shut my mouth. Let's go.
For gun violence in the city.
No one else needs to die. No one else needs to die.
Christina Harrell of Brownsville was reacting to the gun violence in her neighborhood. Last night, another fatal shooting in Brownsville. A 25-year-old man shot dead near this hotel on Osborne Street, close to Pitkin Avenue. It happened just before 8:30 p.m.
Trying to put on a tight hold on gun control, but it don't really work. No. So it just got out of hand, especially with COVID. And everybody been kept up in the house.
At least 6 shootings overnight with at least 7 victims in Washington Heights just after 11 p.m. 2 women were shot after a dispute, and the gunman drove off in a black and white Acura. An hour later, 3 men shot at Irving Square Park in Bushwick. Police say all victims are being uncooperative. And in Sunset Park, a man was shot on 58th Street inside a residential building.
Honestly, because of COVID, I feel like people have just been bored and they've held in so much anger over the past year about so many other people dying, and it's just, they're trying to let it out, but they're letting it out in the wrong way.
According to the NYPD, so far this year, there have been 829 shooting incidents with 968 victims. That's compared to the same time period last year, where there were 677 incidents at the height of the pandemic with 832 victims. The numbers can also be compared to the year before in pre-pandemic 2019. The numbers are so much lower, 409 shootings with 476 victims. And police have yet to make public the name of the 25-year-old man killed in Brownsville last night. They are still waiting for family notification. We are in Brooklyn Bridge Park. McGee Hickey, Pix 11 News. Back to you, Kala.
All right, guys. Listen. Wow. All right. let's start from the beginning. I'm going to go through chronologically. In the beginning of the video, they talked about it was a retaliation for the 13-year-old who was killed, and he was a set leader or whatever. And I remember a couple of days ago, I was talking to somebody, one of my friends or associates or journalist friends, whatever, and they were talking about, yo, you heard about the 13-year-old? And I was like, I don't remember. And I didn't really go into the story because how many violent stories are we going to do? Everybody like, damn, you always going to. But this is what's happening, and they're having a mayoral election. And the main topic is just violence. And these young ladies just came out here, like what I was saying, the 13-year-old kid, he's a kid, but he's grown. You seen Shorty shoot the kid on the video yesterday on Clarkson. That kid didn't have a strand of hair on his face. So like it's like a whole conundrum. It's a cluster, like it's like a paradox. They kids, but they'll kill you. So what? You know? You're not a kid no more. Like you're not a kid no more. But they kids. So I know, that sounds crazy, but one of the young ladies was talking about, oh, because of the COVID, you know, people been in the house and they coming out letting their anger out the wrong way. Nah, man, nah. Don't blame COVID. People blame COVID for everything. Sure, mental health was strained during COVID and people were subdued and constricted and uncertain and a bunch of other stuff that is not good for us mentally, but and then you're around people and, you know, relationships soured. You can imagine the already, you know, dysfunctional families, and they're always, a lot of people leave their house to get away from the dysfunctional family, and now you're stuck with them. And, you know, there was so much domestic violence and so much breakups. It was a time. It's a time, and we're still almost done with it. But now, like she's saying, everyone's outside now, but there's not people killing each other in Bay Ridge because of COVID. People, you know, people in Calabasas ain't killing each other, you know, like that. So, is it because of COVID for real, or is it because people in these neighborhoods are broke? They don't have nothing, and there's a lot of jealousy and envy and hate for each other. That's what happens. And then these young kids are taught it's trickling, and we've been talking about this. I didn't make this conversation up. Shit, we've all been talking about this for decades, and you know. And here we are at a head with this gang violence because of the culture and because of the inability to instill any fear into the children. The children don't give a shit. Curse your ass out. Like, I'm not saying we was good or bad, but we were, or not as bad. We were bad, and we did a lot of the same things y'all did. But the difference is we were scared that our people will find out. Our moms, our dad will find out. So, you know, if you having sex at 15, 14, we were doing it, but you ain't want to get caught. You was gonna, these 15-year-olds get caught fucking out. They so, and because they could always go on the internet and find somebody to support them and tell them, nah, you right. You know, we didn't have that. You know, we didn't want to get caught. You've been embarrassment. You don't want your moms to find out you was fucking or using the street or whatever you was doing, selling weed. Anyway, with that said, we need solutions, obviously. And the conservative Democratic nominee, Eric Adams, I met a couple of times. He used to come to my job and chat with the big boss, Anthony Rapisarda at Midwood. He used to pull up. And, you know, he's very liked, Joe. Very liked, you know. And he has a great opportunity to win this thing. So we're going to see. He's talking a lot of shit in this vid. So let's see what he's talking about. We're going to talk about that after. And we're going to get about it.
Biden has met with Attorney General Merrick Garland and local law
This is
enforcement
almost the same thing as the Chicago video with Lori Lightfoot going to talk to Biden, and here the New York City people doing it.
Well, there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
You guys saw the stats.
We know there are some things that work, and the first of those that work is stemming the flow of firearms used to commit violent crimes. Our strategy provides, including funding for law enforcement through the American Rescue Plan, for states, cities, and to be able to hire police and pay them overtime in order to advance community policing.
Gun violence is up across the United States. There have been 346 mass shootings in the U.S. so far this year. The country has recorded at least 16 mass murders and thousands more gun-related deaths. New York is one of the cities feeling the biggest impact of that surge.
Like we were saying.
The Big Apple hasn't seen gun violence this bad in nearly 2 decades. New York City Democratic mayoral nominee Eric Adams is one of the officials meeting with President Biden today. He believes crime must be stopped from the top.
We feed crime in America and in New York. We need to stop the feeders of crime. And then we must have an immediate response. We should create something like the JTTF, Joint Terrorist Task Force. This is what we did to fight terrorism. Why are we ignoring the violence in the cities? You know why, George? They're black, brown, and poor.
Wow.
And joining us now is Brooklyn Bronx President Eric Adams, fresh out of that meeting with President Biden. Eric Adams, welcome back to CBS.
Let's give him a chance. Let's hear what he says.
Again. So, how did today's meeting go? Do you agree with the president's approach to gun violence, and do you believe progress was made today?
Yes, I do. And again, I'm here representing the borough of Brooklyn, where we have witnessed an increase in gun violence compared to 2020. And I am extremely pleased with the energy that the president is bringing to this conversation. Far too long, we have ignored the epidemic of violence in the inner cities, like New York and Brooklyn. And hearing that we're going to take a holistic approach to this, not only focus on the assault rifles, but also the handgun. The handgun is the real enemy of New Yorkers and really Americans.
And this is something that you've focused on in your career. You've proposed bringing back a special anti-crime unit to focus on gangs and guns and to target specifically gun dealers connected to guns used in shootings. Can you tell us more about this plan?
Well, as I mentioned to the president and his team, that we need to put in place something similar to what we did during the terrorist attack. We put in place something called JTTF. We really mobilized that. We need a JGGTF, Joint Gang and Guns Task Force, where there's a holistic approach.
Y'all better be careful, man. Gang members,
how
little young boys, y'all wild boys, man. They gonna lock y'all up forever.
Cities. Let's go after those illegal gun dealers. Let's go after those who are trafficking guns inside our cities. And let's also have a holistic approach to some of the feeders of gun violence. Everything something simple as dyslexia screening. Our prison population, according to one report, had 30% of the inmates were dyslexic. And so the mere fact we're not providing services to foster care children that age out, mental health issues, those with learning disabilities, that should be part of the holistic plan that JGGTF should be part of, that we can resolve this crime problem.
And the president does have some of those elements in his plan, correct?
Yes, he does.
He's talking like some good shit, like big shit.
In his plan, he's looking at employment. He's looking at education. He's looking at, how do we make sure that we empower the crisis management team. In New York and Brooklyn, we have something called hotspots, known shooting and gangs behaviors. But we don't have enough money to cover all of those hotspots, and the president's plan is sending down real dollars to go after empowering and helping those crisis management and other anti-violence initiatives.
Well, so to that point, you've recently said that society tends to overlook gun violence in black and brown communities and gives up too easily on helping these communities.
Absolutely.
So as a former cop who knows there's no simple solution to the poverty-crime connection, where do you believe policing has fallen short? And how do you plan to fix it?
That's a good-ass question.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it is.
Oftentimes when we think about the ecosystem of public safety, we only look at police officers, and that is not right. The ecosystem should identify what's the role of police, but we must have a plan that is both with prevention and intervention. Prevention, that consists of the long-term plans that I talked about, such as dyslexia screening, etc. But then intervention, we have to get on the ground right now. And we need to be clear about using those methods like CompStat, do precision policing, go after the known shooters and the known gang members, and ensure with our judicial system that we're not having those known shooters and known carriers of guns arrested on Monday and back in our streets on Tuesday. That's unacceptable, and we have been doing that too often, and I think we need to focus on those small number of people who are violent and continue to be violent and make sure they take their removed from our streets.
All right, well, New York City Democratic mayoral candidate and Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Take care.
Yo, man, that man is an orator, man. He could talk, man. He said something for everyone in the little interview, because, like I said, a lot of the violence uptick because when the police got in their feelings after the 2020, after the pandemic hit, and then the George Floyd shit, and then all of the marching and everything and BLM stuff. The police were in their feelings. Defund the police, screaming. That shit got the police in their feelings, and the police fell back, just like they did in New York City about 6 years ago when 2 cops were murdered in their squad car by that crazy kid from Baltimore. And the cops turned their back on the mayor. And that time they took a break. Like, they had like a unofficial strike where they were coming to work and they was chilling, and everyone knew it. The hood knew. And you know, a lot of the misconception comes, and I hate to have to explain this to people who ain't from these communities, but there's most of the people in these communities are great people. You know, when it goes back to that bad apple. When it comes to the cops, white people say, oh, the bad apple is just one bad, but it's the same way in the hood. And Mr. Adams was like, yo, you know, it's just not, you can have to protect the police. You have to take care of the neighborhood too. There has to be a balance. But I think a lot of the cops who retired and the old school cops who ain't with none of this shit and with none of this reform, they're mostly gone. And I think a lot of these new cops, I think you can there can be a difference made, yo, if you want to make a difference, if they want to make a difference. The people want it. I mean, Mr. Adams was talking about, listen, first of all, this guy, he's in the different neighborhoods, he's liked in different neighborhoods as far as ethnicity and race is concerned. He has supporters all across. And like I said, because he still shows love to the cops, but he smacks them on the ass a little bit when they screw up, unlike most police politicians. So I'm giving that. Like, giving the guy a chance. A lot of people be like, yo, the politics, who cares? Yo, it don't matter who they are. A lot of people say that shit, but listen. A lot of times, from where I'm from, people just care about presidential elections. People don't care about local councilman elections or representatives or congressmen. None of that shit. Nobody cares. The mayor, he's talking a lot of shit, and we're not going to forget it. He's going to have to hold up to this, at least, some of it. He's never going to do all of it. But I think, the people got to help police the community as well. They scared to death of these youngins, man. And I'm rightfully so. These kids don't, So, like I said, man, we shouldn't give up hope. Because if we give up hope, what the hell are we here for? We living for? You might as well go wither and die. You can't ever give up hope. You can't ever quit in anything. And both of these guys are running on that same ticket on the crime reform. I'm going to do Curtis Silva later. And like he said it, we ignore violence in black and brown communities. You chalk it up, oh, he's a gang member, whatever. Yeah, probably so, but it matters, man, regardless who he was. You can't have 13-year-olds not giving a shit about life, and shit. I don't even know, man. Like, even the guys, like, I had problems with, they just beat the shit out of you, I'm not saying there wasn't no gun violence back then. It was a lot of gun violence when we grew up. In our era, I hate saying that, in our era, but shit is so lame. But back in the day, there was shootings, but most of the shootings was about drugs. They was drug related. It was money related. Greed played a part. Now it's more about hate, jealousy, and showboating. I'm better than you. No, you're not. And then so much fuels into it. Whether it's trying to impress women or trying to live up to these rappers, the imaging, and there's so much to it. It is such a pot. My friend was telling me about a lot of the food we eat. I said, baby girl, that's the tip of the iceberg. And we're taking notice, though. We're taking notice. The sun is gonna still shine. You know that. We're gonna figure it out. Appreciate you guys, man. I was a little sluggish today. Like I was saying, I ran 14 miles today, man. I'm a maniac. I don't even know. I had no plans to do that this morning. I was going to do like 7, 8. I did the 14. It's the most I've ever done. Half a marathon's 13.1. So, yeah. Yo, man, I really appreciate the love, man. Like I said, I'm going to keep cranking them out. I'm going to get some rest. I still want to do the Sherman video. I mean, everyone knows what happened with Richard, but there's a lot of psychological angle to it, and I want to talk about that, you know? That's what we do on the Cup. We talk about that angle that others don't really touch. And I really appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe. Let's get it, man. We're here. So I'll see you guys later on.